Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, what a perfect offseason or free agency plan would look like for Minnesota. Obviously, there's a ton of questions around this football team, who they're bringing back, who they're letting walk, and we're going to dive into it on today's show. But let's start it off with this. The Vikings' projected cap space, as it stands right now, according to Spotrac, and they take into consideration like Danielle Hunter, Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, they have it slated as $37 million to spend right now, which is a good amount, about middle of the pack in the NFL. And there's some big-time free agents out there that the Vikings could target. But the Vikings first have to make decisions on these four guys, and there's no bigger than Kirk Cousins. What they do with Kirk Cousins, I'll get to here in a second. But you got to make a decision on Danielle Hunter. How much are you going to be willing to offer him? Is it $20 million per year? Is it $25 million per year? Because a team like the Commanders, who have the most cap space in the NFL, they're going to throw him a lot of money. You also got to make decisions on Christian Darrisaw and Justin Jefferson. Are you going to extend Darrisaw for $25 million a year like he's supposed to get? You got to make that choice. Justin Jefferson. We've heard reports that Jefferson doesn't want to sign a deal unless they know the plan at quarterback. And we've also heard the Vikings don't want to give him guaranteed money after the first year. So you got to make that decision on how much you're going to bring or give 18. And 18's got to make a decision whether he's going to want to be back or not. But the first move I am making, free agency right now, if I am Kwesi and I'm sitting at that desk, I am calling Kirk Cousins' agent into my room, and I am offering him a 2-year, $60 million deal, fully guaranteed. All $60 million guaranteed, and I'm saying that is my final offer. If you say no, you can go walk and test your market elsewhere, because I don't think the Vikings can afford, if they want to bring back 18, if they want to sign Jefferson, to go over that $30 million a year mark. And my argument to Kirk Cousins would be, we could go get you that left guard. We could go extend Jefferson. We could get you another guy for Brian Flores and that defense. That would be my offer to Kirk. And frankly, he deserves that, and he probably deserves more, because this past season, I understand that the quarterback market, I mean, a guy like Baker Mayfield might get $35 million a year. But Kirk Cousins this season, I think he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's top 12, no doubt. I think that range of like 8 to 15, where it's like the Kirk Cousins type of guys, like I think Stafford's better, but like, I think all those guys, there's not really that much of a difference between them, but I think Kirk is top 12, no doubt, and he was on a heater this season for Minnesota, and the Vikings need to be bold with this. Like, I don't want this to be a thing where it's like, oh, the Vikings are going to offer Kirk 2 years for $90 million, and it's going to make Jefferson happy. And the Vikings, they could go win, 8, 9, 10 games again, and, it'd be whatever. Be bold. If he says no, you start over. You reset the timeline, and maybe you are bad for a couple of seasons. Maybe you aren't, winning 8 to 9, 10 games like the Vikings have been doing, but I'm sick of being stuck in this purgatory. I want to be bold this offseason. Either go get a guy in the draft, or you go bring back Kirk Cousins on an incredibly just a team-friendly deal, or you go get one of these guys in the draft. And listen, I'm a big fan of all 5 of these guys. If you don't bring back Kirk, these 5 will probably be, or one of these 5 will probably be the starter next year in Minnesota, and I'd be fine with all 5 of these guys, frankly. I wasn't the biggest Penix guy heading into this, but honestly, the more tape I watch, the more I just listen to him. I'm a big fan of him. You guys know I'm a big fan of J.J. McCarthy. I think Jaden Daniels has real, huge upside to his game, and he could be really special here in Minnesota. Then obviously the top 2 dogs. I mean, I'd be throwing a party here on the channel if the Vikings got either of those guys. But that's my first move for a Vikings free agency, is you offer Kirk 2 for $60. He says no, you let him walk. We'll dive into more of my offseason plan here in a second, but I got to bone the pick with the real ones here on the channel. I was looking at the numbers over the last 28 days, and 68.4% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. Let's change that. It's going to be a wild free agency, wild draft from Minnesota. Let's get that number up to maybe 32% off today's video, but hit that sub button. The second move I'm making, so you offer that to Kirk Cousins. No matter what his answer is, maybe, obviously if he says yes, I think this is more likely to do. You extend Justin Jefferson. I understand the argument that you could trade him and you could get a boatload of draft picks and you could replace him easily, maybe with a guy like Marvin Harrison. But I don't only think Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the National Football League right now. I think Jefferson could potentially be one of the best wide receivers of all time because of what he's done in his career so far. You guys see that stat on the far right of your screen. Yards per game, 106.4. Guess what? That is number 1 all time in the NFL by a wide margin. Only in 3 seasons, he has already gone over 5,600 1,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 375 catches. You really think about that, and he missed damn near 10 games this past season. He is a blue chipper. He is an all-time great. You do not let him leave the building during free agency, and you extend him. And this is the contract that I cooked up for Jefferson. And I know a lot of you guys may be freaking out right now. Well, I'm not paying $31 million per year to a wide receiver. Yada, yada, yada. It's a new day in the NFL, and I think he deserves every cent of this. 5 years, $156 million. The average annual salary will be $31.3. And also, Jefferson's came out and said he wants guaranteed money. I am giving him guaranteed money in this deal, and I'm not scared to do it because this whole argument from Vikings fans where it's like, oh, I don't blame Kwesi. I don't mind if the Vikings don't give Jefferson guaranteed money. I completely disagree. This dude has not shown any off-the-field drama since he was drafted. He has been better than expected when you took him at 22nd overall. He is the best non-quarterback in the NFL. I would not be scared one bit. I don't think it would inflate his ego. I think he would stay kind of nose to the grindstone and keep maintaining what he's done in his NFL career. And also, he's starting to become the heart and soul of the city and the heart and soul of that locker room. Get it done. Extend Jefferson. And if you guys want to send a message maybe to Kwesi on this, maybe Kwesi's going on YouTube and he's saying, what would a Vikings perfect free agency plan would look like? Maybe if he sees this video, tell him or show him that the Vikings fans support Justin Jefferson. Type his jersey number down in the comment section. Type those 18s. Show Justin Jefferson some love. So let's dive into it. So those were kind of going off like the basic needs and the basic things that need to get done for Minnesota. Kirk and Jefferson. I think those are the top two choices they need to make. We're going to be going over some top needs here for Minnesota and some players that fit in. But first, I do want to give a huge shout out to Prize Picks, today's sponsor of today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. If you guys go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS, we're going to hook you guys up with a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, it is daily fantasy sports made easy. How do you play? You pick two or more players. You choose more or less on some projected stat types. And yes, you may be saying, oh, well, NFL is not on right now. What could I make some plays? How can I make some lineups? They got NFL or NBA, NHL, PGA Tour, soccer, whatever it may be. Prize Picks has it. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS, and we'll hook you guys up with a first deposit match up to $100. Link in the comment section and description of today's show. So my top choice is the Vikings had to fix the interior of their defensive line because I like Harrison Phillips. I like Dean Lowry. Do I love them? No. This guy I love, though. Christian Wilkins from the Miami Dolphins. He was actually drafted when Brian Flores was the head coach there in Miami, and he had a great year again this past season. The thing I love the most about him, if you guys ever watched the NFL Mic'd Up moments that they post to their YouTube channel, this dude talks more crap than probably anybody in the NFL, and it's kind of in a funny way. I think it would be a good swagger and just a good energy to the locker room as well. If I had to have one fix for any position of need for the Vikings, my favorite one would no doubt be Christian Wilkins. But another big need. A lot of these are on defense, man, because the defense, there is still a huge lack of talent, I think, and it's edge rusher. Obviously, we know the question around Danielle Hunter. That's the question. Bring back Danielle Hunter. Well, right now, Spotrac, this is their contract projection for him. 3 years, $60 million, $20 million average annual salary. And also, I think Spotrac may be undervaluing this a little bit. Like, I think a team like the Commanders is probably going to say, hey, Danielle, we need more juice on that side of the football. They might offer him $25 a year. So I think the Vikings got to make a decision where they want to go. What's their number that they're kind of max going to hit for Hunter, whether it's 23, 24, 22, whatever it may be. But Spotrac has it as 3 years, $60 million as of right now. I would do that deal in a heartbeat. And hey, this is my perfect free agency, so I'm going to say Danielle Hunter takes that deal. But let's kick it to cornerback right now, as that's another big position of need for Minnesota. Listen, I like guys like Mekhi Blackman. Mekhi Blackman had a good year. I like Byron Murphy, but is Byron Murphy a true lockdown corner? No, by any means he's not. And, Andrew Booth, he hasn't worked out yet in the NFL. I still, have some maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what to say, but I still kind of believe him a little bit. And Caleb Evans, I thought he played good this past season. But I think the Vikings could be looking at free agency, and a guy like Kendall Fuller would be a great option. And maybe Washington doesn't want to bring him back. Maybe Washington, they see the young corners they have on that unit, and they say, we're going to go that way, and Kendall Fuller does hit free agency. I think this would be a great veteran also to bring in, because if the Vikings do cut Harrison Smith, there's going to be no veterans in that secondary. I think Kendall Fuller would check that box. And I'm not saying he could be a true lockdown corner, but he could be a hell of a CB1 next to Byron Murphy. I think it would really shore up that Vikings cornerback room if you could roll out Fuller, Blackman, and Byron Murphy and have Evans and Booth rotating in. That would be a hell of a group in the NFL. Now this, and I know what you're already saying. Oh, we already have an off-ball linebacker in Ivan Pace, and I get it. I absolutely love Ivan Pace. And honestly, I was thinking about it from this past season. Like, Ivan Pace honestly went underrated in what he did in Minnesota. I think it was maybe just because the Vikings don't obviously get, the national media attention. Obviously, them not being that good at the second half of the season. But the year he had was fantastic. I mean, over 100 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 TFLs, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, filling up the stat sheet any day of the week. But Jordan Hicks is a free agent, and he's also getting up there in age. And I don't know if the Vikings can be able to bring him back. So what if you bring in a guy like this, Lavonte David? This is who I would have the Vikings sign in. He had another big-time year. It's going to come down to price. Obviously, he's not the same guy he was when the Buccaneers, won that Super Bowl, on the back of that defense where they locked up Mahomes in the Super Bowl, but still filling up the stat sheet last season. 133 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and then 17 TFLs. He's that Swiss Army knife on defense. I think Brian Flores would have a field day with him. He would be playing 8 positions a game probably for Flores and that unit. So off-ball linebacker, my choice, Lavonte David. Now this has always been an issue and always been a top need for the Vikings, interior offensive line. And I'm just sick of year after year after year saying, what's one of the biggest Vikings need? Interior offensive lineman. We got to fix it. We got to fix the right guard. We got to fix the center position. We got to fix the left guard. Like, I'm tired of hearing about it. A way you shore that up instantly, put Connor Williams at left guard, and you let Dalton Reisner walk. I thought Dalton Reisner was great for the Vikings this past season. He really tailed off at the second half, and he's kind of trending down. This guy would give me no doubt the left side of your offensive line being Darrisaw, Connor Williams, Garrett Bradbury. I'm all in. Like, that would be probably one of my more dream free agent signings for Minnesota, bringing Connor Williams. He was playing center for the Dolphins over the last 2 seasons, but he is naturally a guard. And I think also a guy like this would help out a guy like Garrett Bradbury, kind of improve his game as well. But I just gave you a ton of free agents. That was my perfect Vikings free agency plan. Obviously, a lot of this is going to have to do or come down to, these players, agreeing to stay with Minnesota probably on a discount. That's just kind of where the Vikings are at. They kind of screwed themselves over with a couple of these contracts. But name one free agent you want the Vikings to sign. Let me know down below. And also, this was a longer video here on the channel. If you guys made it to the end, you guys watch the whole thing, you are the definition of a real one. Just type real one down below in the chat or in the comments, and I'll show you guys some love on today's show. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Skol Vikes, baby.